Hello everyone, and welcome to Roticards. Today's tutorial is going to be on a wiper card. This is my example of a wiper card. You pull the two sides apart and you get a little surprise that pops up. So this is called a wiper card. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock, 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. Again, you need 2 pieces. We're going to score those here in a minute. A piece of contrasting cardstock. I'm using black, 4 7/8 by 4 1/8. And your pattern paper, 4 3/4 by 4. It's going to go right on top of there, just like that. You need a couple of strips. My black cardstock, 4 1/8 by 7/8 inch strip. Pattern paper, 4 by 3/4 of an inch, and it's going to go right on top of that black there. I decorated the side of the card with an extra little strip of paper, and this is 4 by 1/2 inch. You can decorate that side, you could stamp it. I'm just going to put a piece of paper on it. And then my unicorn, I went ahead and stamped the unicorn out. I colored it in rainbow colors, and then I die cut it out, and that's going to be my little pop-up piece. And the mechanism that works the pop-up piece is basically just a scrap piece of paper. Mine is 2 3/4 by an inch, and this piece will be determined by how big your pop-up is, how tall it is, how wide it is. This is what I used for my unicorn. And then the sentiment on the front, I put the cardstock is 3 by 1 inch, and the little sentiment is on a 3/4 inch strip by 2 3/4. And I just cut that to match the sentiment that I used. So let's go ahead and let me show you the stamp and dies that I'm using. These are close to my heart, stamps and dies. It's the Unicorn Dreams, and it's got the stamps and it's got the die cuts in it. So that's how I cut out my unicorn. And it has the sentiment that I used, "You make life sparkle." So that all the stamps came out of this stamp set. So let's get this scored. Let's score our base. Sorry about that, I had it locked down there. We're going to take our scoreboard and our 2 base pieces, and we're going to score them at 1 inch and 1 3/4 inch. You're going to score both of them. So let's score these at 1 inch and 1 3/4 inch. Going to do the same thing with the other one. 1 inch and 1 3/4. Okay, that's all I need the scoreboard for. We're going to also score the little piece that does our pop-up mechanism, but you don't really need a scoreboard for that. You could use a scoreboard, but you don't really need one. All right, now when you fold these, you're going to fold, you've got your 2, this is 1 inch, this is 1 3/4. You're going to fold back and forward so that it looks like that. Same thing with this one. Back and forward. Okay, they're both going to look the same. Okay, they're both folded exactly the same. And I'm going to use my bone folder to fold these. Okay, so we have both of these that look the same. But what you're going to do is you're going to flip one. Okay, so they both look exactly the same. And you're going to take one and just flip it over. They're going to go on top of each other like this. That's how they're going to go on top of each other. Now before we glue them together, I want to do the decorations, and you need to put the mechanism inside before you glue it together. So let's go ahead and put all these strips together. And this just goes on top of that. And this is going to go right there. Put that on in a second. I'll put this piece on. And then this piece is going to go on the front. Now, what I did with mine is I coordinated the colors to kind of match the side. And the pattern continues. So when you trim it, you can decide whether you want to take that piece and make, you know, the next piece over so it matches. This is rainbow. So to me, I want it to continue the rainbow color. It doesn't have to all be the same. And if you have a pattern paper that doesn't have a direction, it doesn't matter. If you do have a pattern paper that's directional, make sure when you glue this down that it's facing the right way. This doesn't have a direction, so it doesn't matter. I just like the shiny rainbow colors, which I thought matched the unicorn pretty well. So I use this rainbow foil paper. I like shiny and sparkly. And since the sentiment says you make life sparkle, I thought it matched. And then this piece, I put right along this edge here. Now you can put paper here, you can put the same cardstock here, you could take your stamp and stamp your sentiment here, you know, whatever you wanted to put here. You could put all different kinds of things there. Use that space and decorate it. I'm just going to put this extra little piece with some hearts on here to just kind of make it a little different, something just a little different. And now we're going to do our pop-up mechanism. And that's this little piece of paper here. Again, it was 2 3/4 by 1 inch. It doesn't matter really the size of this. What you want it to do is you want it to support whatever you're putting on it. It has to be big enough to support this. Now, you could cut this down lower. You could use a piece of acetate. I've used acetate for these before, but the unicorn is kind of big, so I wanted it to be supported. Some acetate is not real thick, and I didn't want this to be flimsy. If you have a thicker acetate, then use acetate by all means. It looks really cool. But when I put this on, I'm going to trim this down so you don't see as much of the white. But the pop-up part of this is you need to fold one of the corners. Okay, take one of the corners. You can score this if you want to. I have scored it in the past. It doesn't really matter. You're just going to flip over one of the corners. Okay, just flip over one of the corners. And you can use a bone folder on this. Just use your fingers, whatever. But you want to bend it back and forth several times. And fold it back and forth so that it moves easily. Because this is what's going to be popping the unicorn up. Alright, now this is the front of my card. You have to determine what is your upside. What's the part that's going to be up where you want the unicorn to come. All right. Now, if you do it, you can do it this way and have it pop up on this side. I've done them both ways. It just depends on how you put this piece in. I want this part to be on my left side. So the unicorn pops up this way. And the reason why I did that was because it looks like he's jumping up. If you put it on this side, then he would be coming up he would be coming up backwards. You know, he would be popping up tail first, and I really wanted him to pop up, you know, head first because it looks like he's jumping up. So that's why I did it this way. But you can certainly, with other pop-ups, you can turn it this way and have it popping up to your right. I just want it to pop up to my left. So this corner that you've folded is going to be going up against the fold. So we're going to flip this over. You have to glue it on the back. This corner that you have folded, you need to put in between these two folds. It's going to go right up against the edge, right up against the edge. Now, where you put it down, again, this is our top, how far you put it down is determined by how much room you need for your whatever it is to pop up. Okay, so if you want to put it down lower, you're not going to have to see how my legs of my unicorn, if you put it down too low, my legs of the unicorn aren't going to really come above the edge of the card. So you don't want to put it down too far. But you want to make sure that when it goes down, whatever it is that's popping up is hidden. So if you put this here and you close it, because as you move this back and forth, this piece is going to fold and go down. You want to make sure that you have enough room for when this goes down. You want it to be hidden. All right, we'll get back to that in a minute. But if you end up putting too much up this way, you can trim it off. All right, so the point is that this folded corner goes between the two score lines and flush up against the outside one. Okay, I'll say that again. Your folded corner goes between the two score lines, between these two score lines, and flush up against the outside one. Now for this particular piece, you want to use really strong adhesive, because this piece is going to be moving back and forth a lot. The first one I made, I didn't use real strong adhesive, and this piece came out. You can stick it back in. It's a little difficult to do, but you can stick it back in if it comes unglued. But the easiest thing is to just make sure you have really good glue on it the first time. So I'm going to put some really good liquid glue on here, and I'm going to put it in right up along that score line. Now make sure you don't cover the score line. You don't want to cover it. You just want to go right up next to it. All right, so we're going to glue that on. Hold that for a second so the glue can dry. All right, make sure that's dry. Because see, when you fold this, see how that piece goes down? Fold it, pull it out, fold it down, pull it out. It's already working. And that's what I meant when I said, depending upon how big your image is that pops up, you want to put it down low enough to where that will hide. So I'm going to stick my unicorn on here now. And like I said, I wanted his legs coming up, like he was, you know, jumping up from the card. So before I glue it down, I just want to make sure that when I close it, he is completely covered, which he is. He hides all the way on the back. All right, so now I'm going to glue my unicorn on there. And again, I'm going to use liquid glue, and make sure that you only glue the part that is on the cardstock. Don't glue the back of him, because then he'll get stuck inside the card and he won't pop out. So I'm just going to glue his front legs and just a little piece of his chest, so that when it pops up, he looks like he's jumping up. And then I just flip it over, make sure I don't have any glue coming out the edges. so it gets stuck when it goes down inside the card. You don't want that. You want it to be able to pop up. So we glue that down. I'm going to take some scissors and I'm just going to cut this corner off right here. So it looks like he's flying in the air and not just on cardstock here. And again, if you want to use acetate for this, you can do that, because that's great to have it clear. Make sure you use a thick enough acetate to where it will hold up. It will hold whatever that image is when it pops up. All right, so that is the mechanism of the card. It's really not that difficult. The hard part is trying to figure out where to put it on this piece here. And so now we're going to glue these together. And you're going to glue the back, this section here, and you're going to glue this section here, and they're going to glue on top of each other this way. Again, I use liquid glue because you want this to stay put, because as people open and close this, that's a lot of movement. So I use liquid glue. I've made these before and have not used liquid glue, and they've fallen apart. So I'm giving you my tips so it doesn't happen to you when you make one of these. So we're just going to put this right down along the edge, and then make sure that lines up right along the edge on this side. We have both sides. We'll hold that for a couple of seconds. I kind of didn't glue the black piece very straight. Okay, so there's that, and then you fold it in and you pull it and it pops out. Cool, huh? Well, that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment on here, and then that's it. You can embellish however you want. I decided not to put really any other sparkles on it because the paper was so sparkly and shiny. I just really liked the paper to shine, so I didn't add any extra gems, but you certainly can do that. You can add whatever you want to it and dress it up some more. But I just put that on there, and now you make Life Sparkle with the unicorn that pops up. Cool. And here's the other one. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Take a minute to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you click the bell next to the subscription button, you will get notifications of every video that I upload. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you would like to purchase any of the stamp set or any of the supplies that I use, I will put links in the comments below the video in case you like the stamp set and want to get it in the thin cuts. I really appreciate you joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.